And you're live with Michael Savage. Welcome to the Friday summation of the madness of the world. I wake up this morning and I see Trudeau backs Ukraine's long range strikes on Russia. And I say, this is getting out of hand now. This ludicrousness, this insanity. 600,000 Caucasian men have been slaughtered. They've slaughtered each other. And I said to myself, the left is the new imperialists. The Democrats are the party of imperialism, which is a reversal of everything you have been taught. Everything you have been taught over the last 50 years is the opposite of what you are seeing. The Democrats are the new imperialists. The liberals are the new imperialists. Maybe they've always been. Maybe we didn't know it. Maybe we thought that they were peaceful and they wanted peace. Now, I'm going to play the chess game with you here. Welcome to the Friday afternoon edition of the Savage Nation. New podcast came out today, which is wonderful, called Trump Will Not Do Another Debate. Good. It's a very important podcast, and it's a very telling podcast. And the news that I have for you today is not very good. If you think that I'm going to sit here and be a cheerleader and tell you that Trump's going to win, he's going to win by a landslide, and when he wins, he's going to make the world perfect, you're in the wrong place. Now, remember, I'm one of 7 billion people. It's one man's opinion. Many of you have found me over the last years. Many of you never knew I'm still around. And every time I do a broadcast, they say, well, glad I found you. Glad you're still there. That's all irrelevant. It's not about me. It's not about a man. It's not about Trump. It's about a world that's imploding because of. So I wake up this morning, as I was saying, and I see Trudeau wants Ukraine to strike Moscow with the missiles that the United States and the UK gave to the lunatic Zelensky, the madman. Now, you don't have to be a genius to understand what Kamala Harris represents, do you? Kamala Harris is part of the war machine. She wants war with Russia sooner rather than later because it will assure her a victory. It's not what you think. In other words, if God forbid what I think is going to happen happens, it will not help the cause of peace. It will not help Trump. It will help Kamala Harris and the war machine, the lunatics, Blinken, Sullivan, Obama, Soros, the madmen. The total mad men and women of the world want war. They don't understand that once the war starts, you can't stop it. It's almost impossible to stop wars. It's very easy to start wars. So let's think together for a moment. Trudeau, probably the worst man in the history of Canada, he has decimated this great nation of Canada, destroyed it from within. Oh, it's still there, but it's not the Canada that I knew. My mother was born in Canada. It was once a beautiful, vibrant nation filled with people who were freedom lovers. This madman has stolen the freedom of the Canadian people, and now he wants war between Russia and NATO. So how does this play out? Let's think like Putin's thinking right now. Nobody thinks the way Putin is thinking. Everyone thinks only what Zelensky wants, the comedian who plays the piano with his dick, the front man for the Azov battalion, the front man for the fascists in Ukraine. Now, don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong. The Ukrainians are a beautiful people. They're cousins of the Russians. Kiev was once the capital of Russia. You need to know a little history to know what's going to happen. Kiev was once the capital of the great Russian Empire. The Ukrainian people are Russians. The Russians are Ukrainians. It's a civil war in a way that's being fomented by the mad people in the Western liberal nations who want more white men to kill each other. I'm going to put a racial component into this. Whether you agree with me is of no relevance to me. I mean, I hope you understand that I have nothing to gain or lose by this. It's one man's opinion. It's an afternoon, and I can't sit idly by and say this is not happening. It is happening. It's like my worst nightmare is happening. So why would Trudeau, a naked communist, they allege he's Castro's illegitimate son? That's irrelevant. He may as well be Castro. He's a dictator. He's a petty dictator. Why would the dictator of Canada suddenly say he wants uh, Zelensky to use long range missiles provided by the United States and the United Kingdom to strike into Moscow? What do you think will happen? Can you figure this out? So here's the situation from my perspective. Putin's in very bad trouble right now in his own country, whether you know it or not. The Russian people are not happy with him. No matter what you're reading, you're not reading any of the truth anyway. You have no idea how many Ukrainians are dead. About 600,000, 3 to 600,000 Russians and Ukrainians are dead because of Biden's and Harris's policies, pushing Russia into this war, pushing Russia and provoking Russia into striking Ukraine because the comedian Zelensky, who ran on an anti-war platform, he said, I don't want war. I want peace. I will not join NATO. I will not let NATO take over Ukraine and bring missiles to the border of Russia. I'm a peacenik. The Ukrainian people wanted peace. They're a beautiful people. They didn't want war. So they voted for the comedian. And then he turned around on them like most politicians. He's a fucking liar. Most politicians are sick, pathological liars with almost no exception. Anyone who wants power is a madman. Anyone who wants this level of power is a lunatic. And we've had to put up with them from the beginning of recorded history. Leaders are generally not drawn from the best of people. They're drawn from the worst of people. So Putin's in real trouble right now. He's lost, 300,000 Russians? We don't know how many. The Russian people are now hated around the world, while before this war, they were not hated. They were accepted as part of the world. They're not accepted anymore. They're reviled. So the Russians have lost an awful lot for the territory they have seized. And the Russian people don't want this to go on much longer. So Putin has two choices, in my opinion. Just using logic. Use logic and a sense of history. What are Putin's choices? People of the savage nation, what are his two choices? He can either give up the territory he has seized from Ukraine, which will never happen in a million years, or he can bomb Kiev into the Stone Age, which is what the Russian people want. And I've tried to tell you this before, but it's falling on deaf ears because people are blind, deaf, and dumb. Putin is actually a liberal in Russia. He's actually a liberal in Russia. The people around him are far more, let us say, warlike, and they know he's constrained himself from bombing Kiev and taking over Kiev, which he could have done from day one with long-range missiles of his own, or you don't even need nuclear weapons. Just bunker-busting bombs could decimate any city that he wants to decimate. He has the long-range bombers. He has long-range missiles. He has seagoing submarines, which can knock out a whole continent, in case you don't remember that. Do you remember the thing called nuclear submarines? They have them. Ukraine doesn't have them. We have them. Russia has them. England has them. France has them. A lot of idiots are in charge of these countries now. So you're Putin. You're in real trouble in your country, even though it's not being reported, because we have no reporters left, no analysts who can even figure these things out. They have their heads up their asses. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like, they're about his gay rights and trans rights and what movie is running and what soccer team is running. So Putin's in trouble in Russia. There could be a coup in Russia where the militants in Russia overthrow Putin and take over the country and get this war over with by bombing Kiev into the Stone Age. And then if the missiles start flying, they will then bomb a NATO country. And that is really good for Kamala Harris, which is all that matters. Power is all that matters to the Democrats. There's nothing else on their mind but whether or not they can seize power and keep her in power forever. And what better way to seize power than to have a war with Russia? And then Biden, they wheel out the corpse again. The hologram comes out, and he suddenly says we're at war and we have to rally around our military right now. And in order to do so, blah, 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 blah. And now Comrade Kamala is ushered right over the finish line because a country does not like to change horses in the middle of a war. This is the calculation of those controlling the stooge Blinken, the stooge Sullivan. Whoever's pulling the strings is calculating that by provoking Russia, by sending long-range missiles from Ukraine, provided by the UK, provided by the US, by bombing Moscow, you think he's going to cave in? Well, if you think that, you're a moron. You know nothing of history. He will counterstrike, and he will finally hit the anvil with a hammer, and he will break Kiev and bust it up like a broken suitcase. He'll bust it up like a statue. And then what's going to happen? Then we'll say, oh my God, look, Putin invaded Ukraine. He blew up Kiev. We have to strike Putin now with nuclear weapons. Is that what you stupid bastards want? Is that what all you left-wing moron, imperialistic, psychopathic bastards want? Is that what you want as a nuclear war? Are you people this stupid? Probably. It's a result of 30 years of marijuana and false history and an immunity to reality. None of you live in reality. So our borders were broken by Harris and Biden. Broken. 50,000 Haitians were brought into this nation. Why? Do you see any Einsteins amongst them? Are there any Schopenhauers amongst the Haitians? Is there a Stravinsky amongst the Haitians? There's an HIV epidemic. There's a TB epidemic spreading from the Haitians. It didn't stop Harris Biden from bringing in more of them into Missouri and everywhere else they put them. Why would you bring Haitians into a nation? When your ancestors came here, they had to pass a health exam. And if they had any diseases, they were either put into quarantine or sent back, because everyone knows that diseases spread when you bring in a diseased person. At least I know that. I'm a trained epidemiologist, but you don't have to be an epidemiologist to know that. You just have to be a rational person to know that. Rationality went out the window a long time ago in American politics, didn't it? What we have now is not irrationality, but something beyond irrationality. So I'm about finished with what I wanted to say today. I don't need to stay on forever. Sometimes less is more. I wake up and I see Trudeau backs Ukraine's long-range strikes on Russia. I say, what? Is he crazy? Why would a communist or socialist, which is what he is, and a little petty dictator at that, encourage war rather than peace? And why would liberals encourage war instead of a settlement and peace? Because they're deranged. And they think that they're going to cower Putin into a submission, and he's going to suddenly give up the territory that he's gained at the loss of 300,000 or so Russian men and walk away from it. And then give Kiev, the piano player, reparations on top of it all. This is how psychopathic they are. No, that's not what Putin will do. Putin will smash Kiev into the Stone Age and probably bomb London and Paris if they keep this up. And then what's going to happen? We give a command to our submarines to strike Russia, and then what's going to happen? Follow the bouncing ball, idiots. The world is like this away from an implosion. There used to be a group called Concerned American Scientists, Nuclear Scientists, and they ran a clock that they said the world is 1 minute from midnight. Remember? 1 minute from midnight, then 50 seconds from midnight, then 30 seconds from midnight. Where'd all those scientists go with Biden pushing the world to a world war? Where'd they go? Where'd all of these concerned American nuclear scientists go? Where they suddenly disappeared? Oh, only when a Republican was in office, they were concerned, and now they're not concerned? Put two and two together. Listen to Michael's prophecies, and you'll see that it's not just the rantings of a mad old man. In my case, my persistence has paid off. According to the signs I have seen from God and using my own rational knowledge of history, There's outside testimony that this will happen. This will happen unless this is stopped. Am I a messenger for you today? Sure, but you're a converted person if you're listening to me. This is the thing to know. A bulletin of atomic scientists, I think. Okay, thank you. This is the thing about what's going on in the world right now. Trump's rallies are a complete waste of time. He's only speaking to the MAGA crowd. He is not winning one vote with any of them. First of all, the rallies are not run by they're not run on ABC, CBS, NBC, where anyone could listen to him. So the only people listening to him are those who are going to vote for him. So why is he doing these rallies? Well, at the risk of your displeasure, I will tell you why. Two reasons: narcissism, ego, and fundraising. No other reason. There's no reason for these rallies. He's not converting one vote over to his side. None. The lines are drawn. There's a sliver this big that will determine the outcome of this election, not only for the presidency, but in the Senate, etc. So he's not winning over any Democrats or any undecided. Everyone knows who they're going to vote for already if they vote at all. So what the hell are these rallies for? Narcissism, ego, and fundraising. I realize this is not popular. I realize you don't want to hear this. I realize that I'm not a sycophant, which is what you have to be, I suppose, today in order to survive in the political media world that we live in. But that's not my middle name. I am not a sycophant. So I do know that the Democrats are the party of imperialism. There's no question in my mind. And all of this talk about eating cats or the Haitians is falling on deaf ears outside of the MAGA crowd. We all know this. So what is he doing this for? What is the point of all of this? What is this incessant speech making and rallying? What is it all about? What good is this? It's of no good whatsoever. Now, I got some texts today from people who I know who are very close in the advising column of the Trump campaign. And I don't have to name them, but let's put it to you this way. They're right up on the top. And they know that I've been sending them stuff. Some of it gets to him, some of it doesn't. He gets stuff, he listens to some, he doesn't listen to others. And they said they warned him before the debate not to be baited, but he fell for it anyway. And he was provoked just as we feared he'd be provoked because he has a very thin ego. Well, let's level with each other here. We don't have to make things up, do we? The things are too close to the precipice to waste any more time with malarkey here. I watched the debate very carefully. She was scared to death in the beginning. Her voice was that of a schoolgirl out of her league, which she is. And she was terrified. And then the setup artists inside ABC gave her the solid ground she needed by talking about the one topic she could get on her high horse about, which is abortion. And they went on for that 8 minutes about abortion. From that point on, Trump was on a slide. And then when she said to him, people leave your rallies, which was a lie, he lost it altogether. You saw him, he blew it. The minute she insulted his ego, it was over. He fell right into the sand pit. So don't think this is as clear cut as you thinking that he's going to win and save the world. First of all, if he wins at all, which is becoming increasingly unlikely, I read the tea leaves. She's smiling. She's appealing to people with her smile, and he's scowling. And he looks like an angry old man who says, get off my lawn. It's not selling. The act is not selling right now. It's not 2016. The anger isn't working. The smiley button is working with the idiots. On top of this all, I learned from the inside, and you may not know this, is that Trump's people outsourced the ground game for the election. The Democrat machine has the best ground game on the planet right now. They're out there. They are running it. Understand how politics works. Sometimes it's that hard work that pays off. It doesn't look very good for our side. And it doesn't look very good for world peace. It looks like the world just became a far more dangerous place, especially when I woke up, and I'll repeat it again, When I see the lunatic Trudeau, the dictator Trudeau, backs Ukraine's long range strikes on Russia, I said, the fix is in. He's signaling here. And then Putin issued an emergency warning to the West. Putin this morning said NATO missile strikes on Russian territory are a declaration of war against Russia. They're getting ready for it. They'll counterstrike. Why would a weasel like Canadian Prime Minister Justin Castro Trudeau say he fully supports Ukraine using long-range missiles to strike Russia? Why would a weasel like that bastard do a thing like this? Why? Why? This is just in now. Why would United Kingdom bastard Prime Minister Keir Starmer, another left-wing bastard, say he supports Ukraine using long-range missiles to strike Russia? Why would he do that? Why is the establishment Democrat liberal media lining up for war with Russia? What do they think the world's going to gain from that? Why do they want complicity in initiation of World War III? We're governed by complete lunatics, madmen. Putin said today that if NATO authorizes long-range missile attacks into Russia in their lost war, they've lost the war. Ukraine is decimated. They have no young men left. They're recruiting old men. They're recruiting girls. If they do this to Russia, Putin has no choice but to strike back into Ukraine and smash Kiev into the Stone Age. You think Russia won't do it and they can't do it? Why wouldn't they? Why is he afraid to do it? Why would this lunatic bastard, Keith Starmer from the United Kingdom, allow Ukraine's use of long-range missiles deep inside Russia? Why do these bastards want war? Why do they want open war against Russia, these left-wing sons of bitches? Why? Canada, the UK. And here we have Kirby, that loser fool moron. Why do we have such idiots running our country? So you want Ukraine now to attack Russia and you're going to sit and cheer? This just came in recently. Keir Starmer expected to use his meeting with President Biden, the hologram, to urge him to approve Ukraine's use of British Storm Shadow missiles into Russia. Do you think Britain is that powerful that they can afford to provoke Russia? What the hell are they doing? Putin says Ukraine's use of long-range weapons provided by the communists, socialists in the United States and the UK could put NATO at war with Russia. Putin has his back to a wall. And there's only one thing he can do. Only two things he can do, as I said at the beginning. He can withdraw from Ukraine and say, I give up. Here, take back all your territory. And I'm sorry I saw 600,000 Ukrainians killed and 300,000 Russians killed and billions of dollars wasted and 8 million Ukrainians fleeing into Poland and everywhere else. I'm sorry I did this. I apologize. I'm going to pay reparations. Is that what you think he's going to do? This is what people like Kirby think he's going to do. These are people who've never been in a fist fight, never had their noses punched in. They've never been knocked to the ground and had the shit knocked out of them. They don't even know what the hell they're doing here. Ask anyone who's been at war. They don't like war. The only people who like war are pansy boys like this. Real men don't like war. Boys like war. Real men who fought in war and seen the guts blown out of their friends' guts don't like war. Pansies like war. And they're running America. They're running the UK. They're running France. They're running the Scandinavian countries. They've all been taken over first by the lesbians and then by the pansies. And the pansies think that someone else's son is going to go bleed for them. Putin will not lose face. No one's ever said no to the radical lesbians who have gotten where they are by mowing everybody their whole life, threatening everybody, screaming at everybody, shouting everyone down. And these men, like Trudeau, like Starmer, like these other guys, they're a tool of this feminist brigade. That's all they are, who have flooded their nations with aliens in order to gain and control the nation. But the peoples of the nation don't want war. You think the British people want war? No, they don't want war. You think the French people want another war? Or do you think the people in Finland or Norway or Sweden want another war? They don't want another war. The pansies want a war because they think it's going to be fought on screens as they're in their bunker having a latte, watching Russia go up in flames. And they could sit and cheer as another Russian city burns to the ground. Yay! They think it's a game. They think it's a video game. That's what's happening right now, which is why I say to you again, as I said to you, the title is World Imploding. The Democrats are the party of imperialism, and this is pure imperialism. And here we are in America watching a disaster happening in this nation. There's another paradox or irony in all of this. What Trump did to Biden in that debate, Kamala just did to Trump in this debate with a little help from her friends at ABC. Oh, yes, you don't want to hear it. He didn't win that debate. I don't care what you think. I don't care whether I ever have another a hot dog on Air Force One, which I won't, and I'll never have another bowl of ice cream given to me at Mar-a-Lago. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is the truth. And sometimes the truth is all that's necessary to wake people up. Truth is like a bad medicine sometimes. It tastes bad. It's harsh. But sometimes a harsh medicine is necessary to cure an illness. And right now, there's so much illness in this country and in Europe that one man like me, unheard of, no one knows me. No one knows me. But you know me, or you wouldn't be listening to me. One man, one man's opinion. Maybe it's your opinion. Maybe you share it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're one of those asshole fools who actually thinks sending Storm Shadow missiles into Moscow is a good thing. All you peaceful, loving people. All you loving, peaceful Democrats who want just love and peace on the earth. You think it's good to blow up Moscow. How foolish you are, and how stupid you are, and how dangerous you are. And this is only one man's opinion. I'm Michael Savage. I have nothing more to say. There's nothing more to add to this. The world is this far away from an implosion. Okay? Sorry I have to bring you the bad news. Sorry I have to be the bearer of bad tidings about Trump and about the world. But I don't hear it being broadcast from any of the channels that are on Trump's side. Everyone's afraid to say one negative word for fear they'll lose their audience. I'm past caring about my audience. I mean, I love my core audience. But the one thing you, my core audience, has come to expect from me is the unvarnished truth that as I see it, one man's opinion. If I can't do that, I'm going to quit altogether. You'll never hear from me again. There's no point to this. What do you think? I'm getting rich from this? I'm not making any money on YouTube or on Twitter from this free. You're getting this for free. So take it for what it is. It's one man's opinion. Take it or leave it. Agree or don't agree. But think very carefully before you sit and start cheering on Storm Shadow missiles flying from Ukraine into Russia. It could be the end of the world. And I'll leave it at that. There's nothing more to be said. Thank you very much. Nothing else to say other than thank you for listening and thanks for being with me. And I hope I'll be back tomorrow or the next day with God Talk on Sunday, which I do on Sundays on YouTube and on X. And then some podcasts again next week. The Savage Nation podcast is what it's called. We're in very dangerous place. You hear Harris talking about war and peace. That's kind of the most important topic on the planet right now, war and peace. Has Harris been asked by anyone, how will you bring about peace in the world, both there and in the Middle East? And Israel now is like a cyclops. By the way, you want me to get started on Israel? Haven't they made their point? Why are they continuing to go on and on and on and sacrificing more of their own boys and killing more people in Gaza? What are they doing? Why are they doing this? What the hell is Israel doing? Haven't they finished their job of pounding the enemy into submission? What are they doing? Why is Israel on and on and on, rolling on? And I'm supposed to sit and share that? I'm not crazy. Israelis now can't travel anywhere in the world. They're hated. Jews are in a more perilous state in the world today than they have been in 80 years because of the Israel Gaza war. Forget who started it. I don't even want to go into that again. I'm just telling you like it is. So why does Netanyahu go on with the war? On and on and on. Well, put two and two together. Put two and two together. So as you could see, I'm not going to be visiting Israel in the near future, nor Mar-a-Lago. I'll probably be the man up there on the third story, looking down on the street, watching the people walk by, and commenting on the world as I see it. And this, my friends, is the world tonight from Michael Savage.